Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to make a video about gap years and why they're not really a bad idea at all. And I'll talk a little bit about the bad rep they get for some reason. So I took a gap year after I graduated high school, and so for a full year I just worked. I worked 2 jobs and I saved up as much as I possibly could. I lived at home, and then at the end of my gap year, it wasn't quite the end of my gap year, it was April. I ended up moving to Massachusetts for school, to start school. And by the time I moved, by the time I had all my applications in, by the time I was like getting all set up to start school, I had a ton of money saved up, so I didn't have to take out any kind of student loans, and B, I also I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Now, I had known for a little while, like generally what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to study some kind of psychology, and I knew I wanted to do some kind of like criminal justice career path, but I didn't know specifically what I wanted to do, and I didn't know how I wanted to get there. So because I took that gap year, I wasn't concentrating on schoolwork for high school, and I wasn't concentrating on all sorts of other distractions that were like throwing me off from figuring out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I was able to actually buckle down and figure out what I wanted to do really like in a solid way during that gap year where all I was doing was working. This allowed me to figure out concretely what I wanted to do in terms of career path. This also allowed me to figure out what was the smartest, financially speaking, the smartest way to get to that career path. Because let's be honest, we're all broke and we all have no idea what we're doing, and we all need that extra little bit of time. There's so much pressure from society, from our parents, from whoever, to immediately jump from high school to college, and I don't think that's the way it should be. And all throughout high school, we kept getting asked by people like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Whether that's from teachers, whether that's from advisors, family members, extended family members, like whoever. People are always asking me, what do you want to do? I feel like that kind of hits right when you turn like a junior and everyone's like, boom, you have to have your life figured out. And I found like that's crazy, because during high school and before, you were always being told exactly what to do by your parents, by any kind of person in authority. You were always, your day was given to you in a form of a schedule for school or whatever, and you always knew what you had to do. You never had to think for yourself. And then suddenly you're 18 and your parents are going, where are you going to school? What's your career path going to be? How are you going to get there? What are you going to do? Blah, blah, blah. Figure it all out now. And I know that there's a little bit of pressure, like, oh my gosh, my friends are going to school. I want to go to school like at the same time as them so I don't graduate a year late. Well, let's keep that in perspective. Let's say instead of graduating at 22, you graduate at 23. Is that really that big of a deal? I don't really think so. In the grand scheme of things, it's not going to be a big deal. And even if you're like, oh my gosh, all my friends are going to school before I am, well, just think about it this way. They might already know exactly what they want to do, and they might be financially okay to start off doing that. But if you aren't, if you don't know what you want to do, don't dive right into school. And if you don't have enough money, or if you're not financially prepared enough, like if you don't have like a map made out of like what you're doing for the next like 10 years, which sounds scary, but like maybe break it down into little baby steps. That way it's not quite as intimidating. But you need to have some kind of plan, some kind of goal, because let's be honest, you are an adult now, which means more responsibilities, and mom and dad can't pay for everything. So get that kind of stuff in order first. And you can't do that because, okay, I know there's so much going into applications for college, getting ready for college. I think I had to drive into the school like 3 or 4 times just to make sure everything was all set, because they couldn't find my high school transcript. Like, stuff goes wrong all the time during the whole process of like getting set in college and getting your classes set up. So that's a huge process. It's stressful, it's crazy. So I feel like during that time, you don't really know, like you don't have time, you don't have energy, you don't have patience to think about, am I doing the right thing? Am I going for the correct career path that I really want to do? And you're 18. Like, let's let that sink in for a second. You're 18. You don't need, like, your mind changes between lunch and dinner when you're trying to decide if you want pizza or Chinese food. Like, your mind will constantly change. But I think what's important is to have that solid year in between high school and college to really sit down and say, okay, I really need this time for myself, and I need to take it, and I need to figure out what I want to do concretely figure out what I want to do. That way my freshman year isn't a bunch of random classes, and then sophomore year I'm taking a bunch of other random classes, so then I end up graduating a year late anyway because I kept switching my major, and now I have a bunch of random classes that I didn't really need, and I don't have any of the classes that I actually need for my new major. Wouldn't it be better to go into that with a little bit of money in your pocket and having a good solid idea of what you want to do? And I needed that year, I really did, because I had a general idea of like what I wanted to do, but I really, in the grand scheme of things, I had no clue. And so during that time, during that year, I spent it researching and looking into all kinds of things, talking to people who I knew were in certain career paths that I thought were interesting. And then by the end of that year, I knew exactly, concretely what I wanted to do. So then I put in my applications, got everything all set up, and then I just had to wait. Like, I had to do all the normal basic stuff for college, and after that, I was great. I didn't have to take out any loans. I was able to pay off everything. I still had money in my pocket. Everything was all set. I was financially independent. I didn't need to rely upon my parents to give me money for school. It was great. And now I'm starting my second year. I have my own apartment now. I've transferred schools, and I'm still financially independent, and I still am paying off everything that I don't have any loans. So, and it's really all thanks to that gap year, because if I didn't have that gap year, I wouldn't have had money to buy my own car. I wouldn't have money to pay for my school. I wouldn't have money to do anything like that. And it gave me a lot of real world experience with just working with other people. And it gave me the ability to really get involved with what I wanted to do. So I got to like volunteer, and I got to do internships and things like that. So that was great for me. And I really, really, really recommend taking a gap year. It's not gonna hurt you in the long run at all. Yeah, now you have to graduate a year behind everyone else. But really, is that such a bad thing? They might be graduating with how many thousands of dollars in debt, and you might be graduating with like very little in debt. They might be graduating after switching majors a million times, and they're a year behind anyway, and you're graduating with them now, but without having to switch majors all the time. You're just going in much more prepared, a lot less stressed out, let me tell you, a lot less stressed out, and financially way better off than if you were going in directly from high school into college. And now, because you had that gap year of figuring out what you want to do, you've become more of an independent person and much more mature. So when you dive into school, you're concentrating more on things that actually matter versus popularity contests and silly things that happen in high school all the time, that you've washed yourself off from all that, you've given yourself a break from all the drama of high school, and now you're able to step into college with a fresh perspective on everything without all that baggage of high school, because jumping directly from high school into college means that you still have all that crazy high school drama going on in your brain, and you're expecting it to be like that in college, so then when you get there, that's what you're expecting, and that's pretty much what you create. And so after this little bit of a rant, I hope that what you guys take away from this is there's no shame at all in telling yourself, hey, I need some more time, or telling yourself, hey, I need this gap year to figure everything out. There's no shame in that whatsoever. In fact, I would recommend it, and I know a lot of other people who would recommend it too. I just feel like there's so much pressure to dive directly from high school into college, and you don't need to do that, and you don't need to feel the pressure of doing it. To wrap this all up, don't feel any shame at all in telling yourself or telling your parents or telling your friends or telling your family that you need time. Just, if you need time, take that time. And if they have a problem with it, then oh well. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I make new videos every Tuesday and Thursday, and so yeah, I will see you all in a couple days. Bye!